It started with the faintest click of the patio latch, too subtle for anyone but me to notice. My breath caught before I even turned, and his hand was already over my mouth. Jake's palm was firm, not rough, but practiced, as if he'd done this in his mind 100 times before. His breath whispered across my ear, warm and deliberate, and the porch light flickered once above us, then blinked out. Darkness sealed the moment, but the sound of my husband Matt's snoring filtered down through the cracked bedroom window, like a warning we were already too far past. Jake guided me down the wooden steps without saying a word. The grass beneath my socks was damp, still clinging to the heat of the day. I felt the fence at my back, the wood coarse and ready to splinter. The bug zapper buzzed in that low, hypnotic hum that Jake used to complain about every summer when he'd help with yard work. But tonight, it filled the silence between us, the only sound louder than my heart pounding in my chest. His fingers hovered at the waistband of my pajama pants, waiting, checking. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull away. I tilted my chin instead, because looking down would have meant surrender. And somehow, I already had. Jake stepped closer, his knee slipping between mine. The night swallowed the small gasp that escaped me. I remembered signing his field trip slips years ago with this same hand that now gripped his wrist. He used to thank me with a shy smile and voice that cracked with adolescence. Now his gaze held no tremble, just a steady, quiet claim. The fence behind me shifted with each movement, groaning with the weight of what we both knew couldn't be undone. A garden trowel behind the shed clattered to the ground, startled by our motion. I imagined it biting the dirt just as his mouth found the base of my neck. The soft hollow I always ignored. I thought of dishes left in the sink, Bill's magnet pinned to the fridge, and the wedding vows I said 19 summers ago. None of it pulled me back the way his thumb did as it traced the curve of my ribs. He whispered, "You can stop me." His voice wasn't daring or demanding. It was calm, like a truth he already knew. I answered, "I know, but I didn't stop him. My body didn't move to break it." That's when I understood. Betrayal doesn't come with thunder. It comes with quiet, measured breath and choices we make without speaking. Later, I stood in the kitchen, morning light brushing against the flour trail left from baking. Steam curled from the mug I poured for myself, not Matt. I stared at it while he hummed upstairs, shaving. The bruise Jake left on my wrist wasn't violent. It was deliberate, a fingerprint pressed into skin, a map to the night before. I folded my sleeve over it, even though no one was watching. Most mornings, I read the news. Today, I just stared at the old thread between Jake and me. There were no messages. There never had been. We never needed them. Matt came downstairs, distracted and mumbling about spreadsheets. He kissed my hair absent-mindedly. The paper corner scratched my cheek harder than his lips ever did. He asked if I'd paid the electric bill. I said yes. Our entire marriage had become a series of transactional checkboxes, safe and hollow. He didn't notice how I placed my coffee mug right at the edge of the counter, daring something to fall. My eyes drifted to the backyard. The lawn chair Jake used last night was tipped over, its aluminum frame askew. I went outside and picked it up, but left it facing the gate. An invitation? Or maybe just a confession. The smell of grass was still in the towels I folded later that afternoon. With each one, I remembered Jake's breath behind my ear. The way his body pressed against mine in the dark, and how terrifying it felt to want something that much. A garage door groaned as I stepped inside hours later. The heat lingered, thick and stale. I was stacking paint cans when Jake came in, box in hand. He didn't knock. He didn't need to. He said he'd come to pick up something he'd left behind. But the air between us said otherwise. His eyes scanned me. Not searching, just waiting. Watching, not claiming. Not yet. The sleeve slipped, he said softly, eyes falling to my wrist. I didn't answer. I rolled the fabric down slowly, too slowly. He stepped closer, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers were rough from years of yard work and car repairs, but the touch was gentle, reverent. My breath hitched. I backed up and bumped into the utility sink, knocking a hammer off the hook. The metal clang echoed like an alarm. He caught it mid-fall, and when his hand brushed my hip to steady me, I should have moved. I didn't. You already did, he said when I whispered. I can't. We stood there, silence, thick and heavy like fog. Jake's fingers brushed mine under the faucet as cold water spilled out. His hand lingered just long enough to remind me of last night, the moment when everything tipped. I haven't just wanted last night, he said, voice like gravel and regret. I've wanted every quiet second you didn't know you were giving. His words landed like wet cotton, heavy, warm, impossible to shake off. I couldn't answer. I didn't need to. I saw it in his face. He wasn't trying to win. He just needed the truth spoken aloud. I opened my mouth, but Matt's car pulled into the driveway. The garage filled with the sound of his tires crunching gravel. Jake stepped back, box in hand again, mask perfectly in place. By the time Matt walked in, Jake was just a neighbor retrieving forgotten tools. Matt joked about the lawn needing mowing. Jake laughed on cue, his eyes flicking to mine one last time before he left. I exhaled only when the sound of Jake's truck disappeared down the street. That night, I folded myself beside Matt in bed. His snores came quick, untroubled. My body felt like it didn't belong to me. I stared at the ceiling fan, its blades slicing time into pieces I couldn't put back together. The sheets still smelled faintly of detergent, but beneath it was the ghost of cut grass, stubborn, clinging. I dreamt of the gate, swinging open, over and over. Each time, I didn't know whether to lock it or let it stay. Days blurred, the normal routines stacked up like bricks. Bills, dishes, Matt's offhand questions, my automatic answers. But the air had shifted. Every creak of the floorboards, every hum of the fridge, felt like it was listening. Jake didn't come back the next night, or the one after, but my body stayed tuned to the latch, waiting. Each night I thought I'd fall asleep. My pulse betrayed me. My skin remembered his fingertips. My ears remembered his voice. One afternoon, Matt kissed me on the porch before work. His lips were warm, his hand firm, but the kiss landed wrong. Like a script I'd forgotten. The words didn't match the tone. I smiled, but inside I felt hollow. Matt didn't see it. Or maybe he did, and chose not to. Some silences keep a marriage alive, better than truths. But that silence became louder than words. It pressed against my ribs when I breathed. I started leaving the gate unlatched on purpose, pretending it was an accident, pretending I wasn't waiting. The nights stretched, long and brittle. The sound of crickets, the faint whistle of sprinklers. Each one felt like a countdown. And then, one night, the latch clicked again. I didn't move at first. I let the sound sink into me like water into dry soil. Then I rose, slow, deliberate, like a moth answering a flame. Jake stood there, not in work clothes this time. Just a plain shirt, jeans, and that same unreadable calm. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. My breath filled the silence between us. When he reached out, his hand barely touched mine. But the jolt ran deeper than any embrace. I should have pulled back. I should have slammed the gate shut. But instead, I leaned closer. The night swallowed us whole. After, I lay awake again, but not with guilt, with terror, because I knew I'd let something in I couldn't ever lock out. The house felt smaller. The walls seemed to bend inward, listening. Matt kissed me one morning, and I flinched. He paused, just slightly, before stepping away. That pause told me he knew. Maybe not the details, but something. And once suspicion enters a home, it never leaves. It becomes another resident, watching, waiting. Jake didn't knock anymore. He didn't need to. My body kept the door open. Every kiss, every brush of his hand rewrote me until I didn't know where I ended and he began. But passion burns hotter when hidden, and all flames eat away at what holds them. I started to see the future, not as years with Matt, but nights waiting for the latch to click. That's when I realized this wasn't an affair. It was an invasion. Jake had found the one crack in my life and poured himself through it. And now, even when he wasn't there, he was everywhere. The gate clicks in my head, even when no one's near it. The sound follows me through every room, and sometimes I think it'll never close again.